Hello, this is the presentation for Politics, International Studies and Modern Languages on today's Open Day.
Hello and welcome. My name is Joanne Lee. I'm the Deputy Head of the School of Modern Languages and Cultures, and I'm also Associate Professor in the Italian Department. I've been at Warwick now for over 10 years, and I teach cultural modules on contemporary Italian history, politics and literature.
And my name is Trevor Christian. I'm the PAIS Director of External Affairs and the current course director for the PAIS and Modern Languages degrees. I also am an associate professor in the Department of Politics and International Studies. I actually teach US politics and US foreign policy, and I've been at Warwick even longer than Joanne has. I've been here since 2003. So we have a number of degrees that are taught, co-taught between PAIS and Modern Languages. Politics and International Studies at Warwick is called the PAIS Department for short, and you'll hear us talk about SMLC, which is the School of Modern Languages and Cultures. So there are four core degrees that are jointly taught between the two departments: BA Politics, International Studies and French, BA Politics, International Studies and German, or Politics, International Studies and Hispanic Studies, and Politics, International Studies and Italian. These are joint degrees, so you'll be a joint member of both PAIS and your language department, and you'll sit within two faculties at the University of Warwick as well, within the Faculty of Social Sciences and the Faculty of Arts. These are all four-year degrees, and they include a compulsory intercalated year abroad, which we'll tell you more about as we go through the structures of the degrees. We also have another co-degree between us, BA Politics and International Studies with Chinese. This is a 75% PACE degree, with a quarter of your degree being spent learning the Chinese language, and you also get that year abroad, but obviously this time in China.
Studying PACE in a modern language is a great option, as there are so many connections between the two sides of your degree. Studying a language at Warwick is also about understanding the culture, the ideas, the creations, the customs of a particular people. We really believe that language and culture are inseparable. And I think the same can be said of politics. Politics doesn't exist in a vacuum. It always takes place within a cultural context. So as a PACE and Modern Languages student, you're ideally placed to examine the culture, the history, the politics of the country from an inside perspective and through a culturally sensitive lens, with access to people and resources outside the Anglophone world.
So PACE is one of the biggest departments of politics and international studies in the UK, also one of the most successful. We've got over 80 members of academic staff, and we've been recognised as being one of the very best. In fact, the Political Science Association in the UK referred to us as one of the UK Big Five after the last sort of research roundup exercise in 2014. And for the last 2 years, we've been number one in the Sunday Times Good University Guide, the number one politics department in the UK. And a lot of that comes down to how happy our students are. Here's some of them, look, who graduated a couple of years ago. And you can see that in the NSS scores. In 2019, for example, 91% of our students felt that they were overall satisfied with their experience with us in PACE, and that made us number one in the Russell group of sort of high-end exclusive universities in the UK for a range of different areas: academic support, assessment and feedback, student voice, our organisation and management of our degrees, the learning opportunities that we have for our students, and also just the general learning community that we sit within our department. And of course that links very closely with what happens in the humanities department with our colleagues in the School of Modern Languages and Cultures as well.
So I'll tell you a little bit more about the School of Modern Languages and Cultures. We've got over 80 staff from all over the world. There's a few of them in this photograph here, which was taken before we'd even heard of social distancing. Our academics are internationally recognised for their research. 80% of their publications have been recognised as world leading or internationally excellent. What that means for you as a student is that you'll be part of a vibrant intellectual community. You'll be taught by world leading experts at the cutting edge of their subject who are passionate about what they teach. And of course, that also translates into excellent results from our students. Last year, 94% of our students obtained either 2-1s or first-class degrees. So the School of Modern Languages and Cultures is made up of 4 major academic departments: the French Studies, Italian Studies, German Studies, and Hispanic Studies, and then the Language Centre, which is where we teach Chinese. The Language Centre offers professional language teaching to the whole university. Our academics have a wide range of expertise, so that means lots of choice in cultural modules. We've got modules on language teaching pedagogies, translation studies, literary studies, cinema and visual cultures, as well as history and politics.
So the nature of these degrees, the BA Politics and International Studies and Modern Languages degrees, at least the ones in French, German, Italian, Hispanic Studies, we'll say more about the with Chinese degree later. These are very much joint degrees. They're split 50-50 between the two departments, at least until the final year, when you can choose to go one way or the other. And they are designed for a great deal of flexibility and optionality as you move your way through the degrees, as you'll see in a moment when we go through those degree structures. There's a range of different pathways you can take in the final year to give you different balances across the subjects. You can stay 50-50 or split more towards the languages or more towards politics and international studies in the final year. And the whole purpose of these degrees is to help you critically examine political issues through a culturally sensitive lens and gain a much deeper understanding of the countries that you're studying through your politics modules and also through your languages and cultures modules. And of course also to gain near native fluency in a language and to learn a great deal about the cultures of those countries where that language is spoken.
There are considerable advantages to taking a language degree in terms of employability as well, especially at a time when language learning is declining in the UK and there's a shortage of graduates with good language skills. Top employers are looking for things that you get from a language degree, such as good communication skills, problem-solving skills, but particularly the confidence and the flexibility that you develop on your year abroad. As a language graduate, then you'll surely stand out from the crowd. We aim to develop confident and independent students who communicate effectively, work across cultures, and apply their knowledge to global contexts. For most years, you'll spend half your time in PAIS and half your time in the School of Modern Languages. Some of the modules will be compulsory, or what we call core, but as you move through your degree, you'll get more optionality and choice. Some modules, particularly at first year level, are for the full year, so that's 3 terms. In years 2 and 4, many of the cultural modules are term-only modules.
So in the politics and international studies side of the politics, international studies and modern languages degrees during your first year, you'll take 2 compulsory core modules, which are designed to bring everybody up to speed. It doesn't really matter whether you studied politics before or not. The whole idea of these modules in the first year is to enable everybody to kind of get up to a level, as the same level as each other, regardless of their background. And so both these modules do more or less what the title suggests. So Introduction to Politics introduces you to the whole discipline of the study of politics, and you'll learn about lots of isms, about conservatism, liberalism, Marxism, constructivism, various other ideas about how to approach the study of politics and different ideologies that are important in understanding how politics plays out in the world. And then you'll also study world politics, where the emphasis is much more on how these factors apply to global politics, to the interaction between states, between different peoples around the world, and again, how we might approach the study of political questions at the global level. And of course, that connects very much to what you'll be doing in your languages and cultures modules on the SMLC side of your degree as well.
In your first year, you'll take a core language module, so that'll be French, German, Spanish, or Italian, and a cultural module in that language area. I've put some examples on the next slide. So these are the first year cultural modules that we offer. If you're taking PAIS and French, you'll take the story of modern France. If you're on a PAIS and Italian degree, you'll take the history of modern Italy, and you'll see that there's some choice there with the Hispanic Studies modules and the German modules. These are foundational modules, so they'll give you the knowledge and skills so you can go on to further your knowledge of the culture in years 2 and 4. But you'll also see that they connect quite nicely with the politics side of things. I can talk about the Italian module there because I teach that one. And we look at the connections between, for example, futurism and fascism, between the Italian resistance and neorealist film.
So when you move into the intermediate year of your degree, whether you decide to do that in year 2 or year 3, depending on when you do your year abroad, which we'll talk more about in a moment, you'll still be 50-50 between politics and international studies and the School of Modern Languages and Cultures. On the PAIS side of the degree, you'll have one core module, one compulsory core module, as opposed to the 2 that you had in the first year. So there was a bit more choice in the second year or third year in this intermediate year than you've had up to this point. The core module is political theory from Hobbes. This is the kind of backbone module of all of our degrees. Every student in PACE takes political theory from Hobbes in their second year. And again, it's a module that focuses on political theory. It looks at the main political theorists or most influential political theorists, starting with Thomas Hobbes in the sort of modern political thought era, and working its way through to the 20th century via Karl Marx, Mary Wollstonecraft, Frantz Fanon, and ending up with Martin Luther King Jr. There's also a huge range of different option modules for you to draw upon that follow the various sort of pathways that exist within politics and international studies within the department. There's political systems modules. It's a fairly good module on politics of the USA that someone that looks quite a lot like me will probably be teaching. But we also focus on other political systems in Europe, in Africa, Latin America, other parts of the world. And so that's one sort of route that you could take. You might have an interest in security studies. International security is something that we have a great deal of emphasis on within the department. Again, there are second year modules that focus on that area, or international political theory, which is another major strain of focus within the department. States and markets is one module that introduces you to the study of international political theory, political economy, and we have various other political economy modules in the second year as well. You might be more interested in international development, and again there are modules there and modules that focus on issues of gender, race, etc. So there's lots of choice within our intermediate year that you can choose as your option modules on the PACE side of the degree.
In year 2 or 3, again, you take a core language module and you choose your cultural modules from a range of options. You'll see from the examples that I put on the next slide that there are lots of links between culture in the School of Modern Languages and politics. These are some examples of modules that we offer at honours level. You'll see a wide range of topics from translation, linguistics, literature and film, but also modules which touch on political issues. So we've got France's relationship with the Caribbean, French presidents and the media, Spanish Civil War, questions of national identity in Italian cinema. The year abroad, we take a flexible approach here. Unusually, you can choose whether to go abroad in year 2 or year 3. Some of our students want to do both, but that's not possible, I'm afraid. You go to a country where your chosen language is spoken, so that includes Europe, of course, but also South America, the Indian Ocean and the Caribbean. Both PACE and SMLC have got partners with universities across the world. So you can choose whether you go via a PACE placement or an SMLC placement. You can choose to study at a university abroad, to work as an assistant in a school under the British Council scheme, or find a work placement.
So as Joe has suggested, there's a whole range of different places that you can apply to spend your year abroad. Many of those are in Europe, and you can see from the selection here that a lot of them are in France, in Germany, obviously, in Austria, and in Spain. And the ones that PACE has links with are very much politics departments, or institutions like Sciences Po Paris that focus on political questions as well as economics and other factors that relate to the political world. But there is a big range of different year abroad destinations that you can pick between and apply to go to. where you'll practice your language skills and also to be able to develop the study of politics or the study of the cultures of the countries that you're interested in, as well as living there, of course, and immersing yourself in that culture. Or if you'd rather, as we've suggested, you can obviously get a work placement, and there's again a lot of different opportunities there, and you can find jobs for yourself that we can approve in the departments, and you can take those as your work placements for your year abroad.
We also encourage you to make the most of university vacations to consolidate your language and gain valuable experience through work or through volunteering. The Careers Service at Warwick can help you make these contacts.
So in the final year, this is where the biggest amount of flexibility really kicks in this degree, because although you'll still have one core module in PAIS and one core language module in your language department, you can then decide where you're going to have your option modules. So you can remain 50-50 between the two departments. You can take the much more specialised modules that exist in the final year in either PAIS or your language department, language and cultures department, or you can decide to focus more in one direction or more in the other. So if you want to, you can choose to do 75% of your degree in the politics and international studies department, taking our option modules, and just having your language module in your language department. And there's a whole range of different opportunities here for you to take different specialist modules. Again, there's one on US foreign policy apparently that again I might have something to do with, but there's also an opportunity to do a dissertation at the final year in PACE, and as Joe will say in a moment, that's an opportunity that you might have in the language department as well.
If you choose to spend 75% of your time in SMLC, you'll take your core language module, of course, and then either extra cultural modules or a dissertation, so a piece of independent research on a topic of your choice.
So we do have one final degree that we've not really said very much about so far, which is, rather than being an and degree, which is equally split between the two departments, this is the majority of what you would do on this degree sits within the Department of Politics and International Studies. So this is the BA Politics and International Studies with Chinese. So effectively you would take all of the various options and core modules that are the usual expectations of students on a BA Politics and International Studies, but a quarter of your degree in each of the 3 years, or indeed 4 years of your degree, because you will spend a year studying in China as well, will be spent studying the Chinese language. And so in year one, you would do, as you would on any of our language degrees, Introduction to Politics and World Politics, but your language module would be obviously learning Chinese, and then you would also have the opportunity then to choose from among other PACE option modules in year one. In year two, you would study political theory from Hobbes, again, that core module that all PACE and language students will be studying. But then you've got a choice between various optional cores within international studies. So you could concentrate on international relations theory, on international development, on international security, or international political economy. And then alongside that, you teach, you're taught another year of Chinese language at the intermediate level, followed by also being able to take from the various PACE options that exist within our department. Then in the third year, you go to study abroad in China. Now the university has multiple partnerships in China, but the preferred partner for this degree is Shanghai Jiaotong University in the bustling city of Shanghai. And so you would be guaranteed a place at Shanghai Jiaotong, but you could, if you wished, apply to one of the other partners that the university has in other parts of China, including Beijing. And then in the final year, you'd come back to Warwick. Yes, I'm afraid you do have to complete your degree at Warwick. That's true of all of these degrees that we're talking about today. In the final year, again, you would have that core module in issues in political theory, where you apply political theory to contemporary issues from around the world. You would also take your final year advanced Chinese language module, and then you would choose from amongst the other PACE options that we've already talked about that exist in the final year, and that could include taking a dissertation.
The entry requirements are AAB for all of these degrees. For PACE, there are no specific requirements on which A levels you take. For languages, it really depends on whether you're coming into the post A level stream or the beginners ab initio stream. If it's the post A level stream, you must have an A level grade B or above in that specific language. If you come into the beginners route, we want you to have an A level grade B in another language. And that's to show that you've got the linguistic skills to pick up a new language in an accelerated program.
So we hope you found this presentation useful and that you're now even more excited to come to Warwick to study politics and modern languages. If you'd like to find out more information, there's lots available on our web pages. The university's general admissions pages have lots of information about the ins and outs of applying to Warwick and what the various sort of admissions requirements are. But you'll also find a lot more information about the these degrees that we offer on both the PACE website and the Modern Languages and Cultures websites, and those links are all here. Of course, if you've got specific questions, do feel free to get in touch with either Joe or myself, and we'll be more than happy to try and answer whatever questions you have via email. And so, yeah, we really hope you've enjoyed hearing about these degrees and that you'll now put us down as one of your choices for university. And we hope to see you in the not too distant future. Thanks very much. Bye.